everyone. I'm Thor Gunderson, and welcome to Just Asking for a Friend. By now, you know the deal. We go out throughout the community. We meet all the collectors and content makers. We meet sculptors, people throughout the industry. Today, we got a very special guest. I met this man through doing Friday night open mic, and he told me he joined Facebook just because of us and our group. And he's old school like myself and into anime, classic cars, all that kind of stuff. A lot of stuff that I like myself. I want to introduce you to Mark Dunn, but you know him as Critical Mass. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How's it going, Thor?
Oh, it's going great, man. How about yourself? Looking good? Feeling good?
Feeling good. Feeling great. No major complaints.
I know that's all we can ask for these days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, the older you get, you start to reevaluate things in life, and things that used to get you all upset. You think about, I have a choice. I could choose to let it bother me, or I could choose to put it to the side and move on, because a good friend of mine told me a long time ago, I don't remember what it was. He was worried about something, and we were in our early 20s. And I was like, man, Vic, I mean, why you seem so calm? He was so calm. And it was like, no big deal. And I said, man, if that was me, I would be really worried and stressed out by right now. And he paused for a minute. And he says, well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Me worrying about it's not going to change anything. And I was like, chin hits the floor like a cartoon anime. And I'm like, oh. And so I've tried to live my life like that.
That's why I'm a big fan of folks with wisdom, man. It's you gotta listen to get, you don't know everything. So like never stop learning. That's what I always say. You know what I mean? So before we get too far, I like to start out with like telling people where you're from, where you grew up, and then eventually we get into like how you got into pop culture and what started you on the path like that led to collecting.
Yeah. I grew up in South LA. Grew up in my family. My mom and dad came from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. They came out here in the early 60s. Okay. And they had my older brother, my older sister, and I was born here. And I'm just a LA kid. We used to go back to Alabama in the summertime and, visit our grandparents and deal with that crazy weather. And, but really, I'm just homegrown LA, man.
Now, I've always wondered, especially like throughout the 80s, and you heard all the, the NWAs and all this to talk about the gangs and the Boys in the Hood and all the John Singleton movies. Did you get that growing up? Like, was it really bad, like crime wise with the gangs and everything, or with the Crips and the Bloods? Because I've seen specials on it and everything, but I've been to San Diego, but I've never been to LA, so I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, I always like to say, because I was born in '64, so I'm a kid of the '70s, '80s, and all that. Right. So I did see a change as far as like with gangs coming around, but it really didn't blow up with all the mess with the killings and the shootings and the drive-by until crack. When crack came along, that's when it jumped off, because we've always had different gangs in our neighborhoods, and but they would more or less keep to one space. They would have like their little hangout spot where they would be at, and the Crips was over there, and if you didn't want no trouble, you just didn't go over there. But the thing about it is, some of these guys, we were in Cub Scouts together. Wow. We were kids together, and I've been pretty much just a straight laced kind of guy all my life, and I didn't get into gangs, and my friends did. And some of them were like not even like a typical, what you would think about a crazy gangbanger, just out doing crazy stuff. He was just a regular guy. But I mean, like I said, that's not to say that they didn't have beef with each other, but it wasn't like Kent was afraid to walk around the streets, because the part of LA I grew up in was kind of closer to downtown LA, closer to USC. And my mother, I was raised by a single parent, and she made it her point to keep us out of the projects. So we grew up in South LA, and it was at the time when we was kids, it wasn't like you see on TV. It was just a regular suburban area. But when you went to places like the projects, you probably would run into more of that.
Right.
And my mother, she made it a goal to keep us out of the projects.
Yeah, I dealt with the same thing a little bit. Like we didn't have gangs per se, but growing up in DC in the '80s, it was for a while we were the murder capital of the country. And it was like you said, it was because of crack, and you had all these notorious like big time drug dealers here, and that's where most of the violence was. And so my mom, the same thing, and it was around. But she did her best to keep me out of it. I grew up a single mother too, but my father I got brothers and sisters through my father, but I didn't grow up with them. So but anyhow, forget all that grim mess. That's just something personally I always wondered about, because like you said, you see all these videos and everything and West Coast and stuff, and I just always wondered about it, so
yeah. But I'll just say this: if you're looking for trouble, you could find it if you really wanted to.
Of course, yeah.
But it was out there,
right? So anyway, transitioning into pop culture and everything, what was your first introduction to comics, anime, and everything? And later we get into how you became a fan of Deathstroke.
Yeah. Well, of course, my early recollections, I can't remember if it was Spider-Man or Batman, which one was as far as the TV show that pulled me in, because I used to watch you remember the old stop motion Spider-Man cartoon where it was you could tell that it was some type of
I think so,
because the way it was framed like a comic book, where it was like you could tell it was framed like a comic book page. So it was like in the early 60s, 70s. So I was all into that. And of course, Batman, the 66 TV show.
There you go.
But, I was all into that, and everybody wanted to be Batman when I was a kid. So I kind of flip-flopped between those were my two favorite characters. But later on, I got more into Spider-Man. As I look at the comic books that I have, I definitely got more Spider-Man comic books than I have Batman. And then my brother, he had gave me his comics. He had a big old stack of comics. I got some of the old stuff, like the stuff you see that people are getting rated 9.1 or whatever. I got a lot of that old stuff too, old Spider-Man stuff from the 70s, but I haven't got them CGC at that, so I don't know what their rating would be, but I got some of the classics. And then, of course, Saturday morning cartoons, watching the Super Friends on at Saturday morning with my milk and my Fruity Pebbles.
Yes, sir.
My cereal. Sir. So yeah, watching that with the Legion of Doom, and and back to the Batman TV show with Adam West. See, by me being a kid, I can look at it now and see how campy it is.
Right.
But as a kid,
that was the bomb.
I would watch that, and it would be real because they had those cliffhangers. And at the end, Batman and Robin be tied up, and the blade is spinning, and they about to be cut in half, and all of a sudden, next time, Batman. And then it went off, and oh man, what's gonna happen? So I took that serious. So yeah, definitely Batman. I love Batman. But later on, as I got older, I think when I was in high school, and I didn't really follow the X-Men. I was just kind of more focused on Spider-Man, and I had some Iron Man comics. And then my friend had a copy of Daredevil, and he let me read it. I was in his bedroom and I was reading it, and Wolverine did a guest appearance in it, and so I started reading it, and they did like a team up, and then I started, wait a minute, who's this Wolverine dude? Of course he'd been around a long time. I just hadn't paid him any attention, and so I started reading it, and then all of a sudden I said, well, I got to find out who Wolverine is, and then so I started reading the X-Men and collecting all the X-Men, and I got some of the old. Later on, when they reissued the X-Men when they came out with the second team, when Wolverine and the Colossus came along, I got some of those. I got the reprints of those. And then after that, I fell in love with Wolverine. So really, even though a lot of people do know me as Deathstroke as a nickname, Wolverine is really my favorite character.
Really? I never knew that.
Yeah, Wolverine is my favorite character, but because I'm a martial artist. I've been in martial arts since I was 15 when I was in high school, and everybody's got a nickname. And so they put their nickname. There's one guy named Spider. There was one guy. He had a nasty fighting style. His last name was Anderson, so they called him Nasty Anderson. So everybody had a nickname, and because I started liking Deathstroke, so I put that on the back of my gi, and so I got into that. I used that name, and then the people started referring to me as that for a while, and after a while they didn't even know my real name. But yeah, really, really. Oh yeah, because I know your story that Thor Gunderson is not your real name.
No.
With the whole Facebook thing, they didn't even.
Yeah, no, they didn't know.
They didn't believe your real name, so.
But they believe Thor Gunderson.
Definitely Wolverine is my favorite character.
So hold on for a second. So which martial art style did you practice?
Chinese Kempo, Taekwondo, really? Conventional boxing. So I got a combination plate. I learned like the Filipino stick fighting style, the arnis.
Oh wow!
So and it served me well because early on, as in my early 20s, I've had a lot of different jobs, working in hotels, working in everything, and doing security work. It came in handy.
I can imagine.
Being a martial artist.
Right.
So yeah, I've been doing that since, like I said, since I was 15.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I took a little Taekwondo. I mean, I never, because when you were little, you saw all the Bruce Lee movies and stuff.
Yes.
You went and
yes.
But I didn't. Rodney has. I know Rodney did I think he did some Muay Thai, and I know he got a picture. With those boxing kind of shorts on and everything.
Yeah, that's a good style.
So I know he's dabbled in a little bit. And I never knew Wolverine. Yeah, I always assumed it was Deathstroke and everything.
Yeah, because like when we talk, it's more like in the chats and the few times that I was on DCX, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, man.
We kind of talk about the current events. And the conversations kind of flow.
Right.
But as we know, Tim, he cornered the Weapon X moniker. So I mean, it works kind of well that I got the Deathstroke, and he already had the moniker of Logan. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about the community is like when you say let's take place, you say the Punisher, you know exactly who we talking about.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you say Thanos, you think about Geo and everything, and of course they say Vader, y'all, and that's it. I love that, man. It's just it's special. You know what I mean? And like you say, Tim definitely accorded the market on Wolverine and everything. So I know before we get into like how you got into the statues and everything, because I know you collect cars and all that kind of stuff too. I like the little display cars. I got some Matchbox. I got the slot cars. I still got matter of fact, as a kid, that was my two favorite toys was Evel Knievel's stunt cycle and slot cars, and I still have both. Yeah, it's something to be said about like those old shows, and because really, I mean, much like the Millennium Falcon, those cars were like a character. Like you think about the General Lee and the Knight Rider, I don't know what you call the van on A-Team and everything, but you watch the show. Half of the reason was to see the car. You know what I mean? And,
Starsky and Hutch.
I can, even some of the other ones like Airwolf and Blue Thunder. You watch and see the helicopter. You know what I mean? So
and, it is a character.
It definitely, and I think that's part of the reason because I know you got a classic car, right? Remember you was telling me you got a Camaro.
Yeah, I got a 73 Camaro.
And I like luxury cars. I used to have an 82 Eldorado, and I was trying to restore it, but it just got too expensive. And I, I I was hurt when I had to sell that car, man. And so like to this day, like I still that's all I get now is just luxury cars, because I like that smooth ride. I ain't into speed per se, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
me personally, and it's just to me, it's something to be said. Like they make some tight cars now. Don't get it wrong, but it's something to be said about classic cars that just can't be replicated, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So yeah, I always wanted to go to some of these car shows, but just never made it.
Yeah, it's nice. Well, we have a lot of car shows here, but my daily driver, I got a 2015 Camaro.
Oh, okay, so
that's the daily driver.
I gotta tell Rodney. I gotta tell a story about you, man. I remember Rodney just recently started driving stick shifts, right? So he had a Camry that was a stick shift. He started liking it, so he don't want automatic no more. And so, but now they starting like not to make stick shifts too much anymore. And then so he found like a Prius, then he found a Camaro. I said, Rodney, I don't think you're gonna fit in that Camaro, man. He said, no, I think I said, man, he goes to get the Camaro. And he was like, I said, man, I told you. I said they build that for them European dudes with 2% body fat.
How tall is Rodney?
Well, he's we both 5'9", but like Rodney's he's wide, you know what I mean? He's thick like, and he said it was a little snug for him and everything. So
it must have been the newest Camaro because they shrunk him. They shrunk him down a little bit. Like the 2015, it still had the same dimensions as when they brought him out in 2010 when they brought him back.
Right.
And then when it got to 2016, they changed the body style a little bit and they shrunk it a little bit, just a little bit. So I'm quite, and I've never sat inside one, but I'm sure the dimensions of inside of the car is probably smaller too. Because like me, I'm 6'3".
Yeah, I know you tall. I was thinking about that. I know you taller than both of us, and I mean, I don't know. It just he just said he got in there, and it was snug. It was yeah. And you trying to like you ain't got no stick shift though, right?
No, it's automatic because they all like I said, none of them are stick shifts, but they got the pedal shifters up here, so you can put it in you can put it in the manual mode, and you could drive it as if it was a stick only. Which is the good thing because you keep both hands on the steering wheel, unlike doing like this.
Yeah, so he didn't want that. He wanted to do the stick shift.
He wanted to drive the car. He wanted the hook slide.
Yeah. Nah, ain't nobody doing that.
Yeah, and especially because for me being here in LA, that besides the earthquakes, the smog's gotten better. But it's traffic. It's those the two things. The earthquakes and the traffic is the worst thing about LA. And like for me, I only live like 12 miles away from my job. And in the morning, it takes me like 16 to 18 minutes to get there, depending on how fast I drive. Coming home in the LA traffic, but because I had to be to work at 6:30 in the morning. But coming home at 3:30 in the evening, it would take me like 45 minutes to an hour to get home. Damn, and the traffic is just like.
Yeah, I know that's like that. It's like that here too. But okay, so getting into how you discovered the statues. Like what was tell me about I always love to hear this process of how people discovered statue collecting and like what was the piece that pulled you in? That's what I always
It actually took me a while to get there because it's having jobs like security work and working in hotels. You don't make a lot of money. So my first introduction to a statue was seeing Bowens going in the comic book store. Because what I used to do, I used to get my comics every Friday. The comics would come out of this particular comic. It was called Golden Apple. There was like a real big comic book store here in LA, and they had multiple chains at one time, but now they're down to one chain. And there was this other one on Hollywood Boulevard. I forget the name of it. They're defunct. They went out of business. But I used to go and get my comics. So every time I would go in there, I would see these Bowens. But at that time, and they were only, I could say now only $150.
Right.
But still, $150 was a lot of money when you only make $5 an hour.
Exactly.
At the time I was living, me and my sister, we was living together. We was splitting rent. So, I had to pay my way and pay my motorcycle. I had a motorcycle at the time too, so I was making motorcycle payments. So I couldn't afford that. So, fast forward, and I've always been a collector of some time. Anything I see that grabs my interest. Hell, at one time I was collecting Zippo lighters because I love the lighter. I would go through these phases of collecting things. But then eventually, fast forward to, mid 2000s, whenever Sideshow came on the market. I was in a comic book store, and I saw the comic book maquette Psylocke, where she's sitting on the so I saw that, and they had it for $300. And I said, wow. And they had Bowens there too. But I said, you know what? I said, I guess that's the price. If you want it, you got to pay it. So I said, I want that. And so they took it off the shelf, wrapped it up, put it in the box.
Yep.
And then after that, I went back. Then they wind up having the Tomb Raider, Laura Croft, where she's sliding down, where she got the Uzi or the Mac-10, whatever gun it is she got.
Right.
And I bought that. That was also $300. And then because when I was negotiating with the guy early, and I was trying to get him to knock the price down off of Psylocke, and he said, "Oh, I can't knock the price down because I get this Sideshow and they don't really give us any discounts." So then after that, I said, "Well, okay, what is this Sideshow?" So then I go on the website.
Yep. You
see the Sideshow. Okay, so then my next one was when they came out with the X-Men line with the Psylocke, where she's got the katana, one katana going over here, the other katana, and then swap out with the fire. That was the same line with the.
Is that the X base? Is that the X base?
Yeah, with the X base.
Yeah. Okay.
And the same one with the Rogue with the googly eyes and Gambit. So I bought that, and then after that, it was just a matter of seeing things on sale and buying things, and before you know it, fast forward, we're like 50 statues later.
It's something to be. I don't know. It's just something about the art of collecting. Why do people collect stuff? You know what I mean? And it's just, everybody got this habit of collecting, they're accumulating something. But when you get pulled into this thing, it's hard to leave. And again, they're getting over how much they cost. Like that's the first hurt. That's the first mental hurdle. It's like, how much they want for this stuff?
Yeah.
But the Bowens, like I said, I emphasize this everything. To me, the Bowens, like as comics looked when they came out, they just were so accurate. They look right off the page.
They do.
And the ones now, of course, they're a lot more intricate and better paint job. But I still point to those. I'd love to one day. I still love to talk to Randy Bowen. I think he's in the group, but anyhow. So I
still have three. I got 3 Bones. I got the 2 Wolverines. He's on the rock base, right. And then I got the one over here when he's on the little X base. He's in the X Force. So I got these 3 Bones right here.
Do you still have those original pieces that you bought, like the Psylocke and stuff, or you?
Yeah, I still got them up. So far, I've never sold it. I've only sold something recently, and it's not because I needed to sell it. Right. One of our other brother collectors, he was trying to finish that. The Sentinel line that Sideshow came up with. No, not Sideshow. Iron Studios, the 1/10.
Oh yeah.
At one time, I was going to buy. My plan was I wasn't going to buy all 3 Sentinels. I was just going to buy the 1 Sentinel and buy all the small little proximity pieces and put them all around each other. So I bought the Professor X. I bought the Mystique, and I had the Sentinel 1 on pre-order, the one with Wolverine ripping through his chest.
Right.
But then I start thinking about the dimensions, and I started thinking about the room and which direction and how much spaces it's going to take up, and did I really want to do that? So, and I think it was around the same time David did the same thing. I think he canceled his probably around the same time I canceled mine. I think we both had an epiphany, like you drive in the car,
right?
Wait a minute, let me think about this, because I'm limited space. Like we're all, with us, and this stuff is expensive, and I'm a blue collar worker. So, I mean, as long as there's payment plans, I can always buy something. So money is kind of not the issue. Space is the issue. Space is the enemy.
Definitely.
I mean, I run out. I don't have a lot of money, of course, but I run out of space before I run out of money, as long as I'm working.
There you go. So, have you found yourself? Do you favor any particular statue company over the other, or you just whatever you see,
I like them so far. I like them all because I think all of them has something that the other one doesn't have. I got my first Queen Studios. I'm still waiting for it to ship through Spec Fiction. I guess I'm on the backlog. I got that Black Widow that Queen Studios made.
Okay.
But I got XM, I got Sideshow, I got Prime One, and Iron Studios, and I love them all. And as looking at all the different pieces, it's just like I think one company can do something a little bit better, or maybe I prefer it better. Like for instance, the Rogue from Sideshow compared to the XM. I like the Rogue from Sideshow better. And I know Sideshow, people get a lot of, because at one time they were the only game in town.
True.
So they were like the top dogs, but then everybody else come along. And some people think of them as a third-rate company, but I don't think so because
I don't agree with
they
that.
got some outstanding pieces. I love what they did with Storm. I don't really like the cape, but I love the Nightcrawler. I got that. And then I love that Crow that they did recently too. I got that. So they're pretty good, but I don't really have a favorite. But as far as lines, I try to stay in the quarter scale. I do have like 3 1/3 because I just fell in love with them. Like this Beats behind me.
Yeah.
And so I said, but I mean, they just take up a lot of space.
Indeed, they do. Now, one of those third scales you got, I'd love to talk because growing up, you got that Ken the Eagle from Prime One and everything.
Yes.
And that was, watching. It's really called Gotcha Man, but like in America, it was called Battle of the Planets.
Yeah,
and
I used to watch it.
I did too, and that was that, and All-Star Blazers.
Yes, that's me and my brother's favorite. Matter of fact, I need to buy that box set. I see it on Amazon. It just haven't pulled the trigger yet for both of them.
They used to sell that at comic book conventions, and to this day, like one day, whenever I get a bigger place, I still want. In America they call it the Argo, the ship, but it was really called the Yamato in Japan.
Yes, my brother wants one of those.
I always wanted a model of the Argo or the Yamato, or whatever you call it. You know what I mean? I just thought it was cool.
I think it's a Yamato.
Yamato, yeah, and I just always thought it was cool that this naval destroyer that flies. Then they would go to a planet, it would just go right into the water. I thought that was the sickest thing ever. You know what I mean? And those growing up, that was the earliest exposure to anime. For me, and that I can remember. And I don't know, man. I don't think they're gonna make any more of them. I just think hopefully they make. Other than Ken the Eagle, they make the Falcon and the Swan and all them.
Yeah. If they do, I'm in trouble because then I'm gonna start really moving some stuff around. Because the way he is, he's really hard to pose because he's stretching out, and he's an interesting one to find space for. But it's like anything. If you can play Tetris a little bit, you can figure it out. Did you also since you talk about 80s anime, did you watch Robotech?
Not that much, and because I don't remember when it came on actually. Like I think I caught it maybe a couple times because I know that's Joe's thing. He in the Robotech.
It came on in the mornings here in LA.
That's probably why I missed it.
I used to watch it before I went to work because at that time I was working. I had to be to work at 8:00 in the morning, and it came on about 7. Right. So I would videotape it. I had VHS, so I would videotape it while it was on, and I would edit the commercials out. I would pause.
Yeah, I missed. I missed Robotech. Pause. I missed out on Robotech, and it's something to be said because I meant to speak on this earlier. one thing I definitely miss is was Saturday mornings was so special. Like I don't know why I saw a video on YouTube a while ago that said what happened to Saturday morning cartoons, and it was just something about getting your cereal and everything, and then for about 3-4 hours you just did cartoons. Then wrestling came on, then kung fu came on, and that was done. You go out and play, and
Kung Fu Theater.
Kung Fu Theater came on around 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes,
and it was just I mean, it was nothing like I guess now now with all this social media and all this stuff, but I wouldn't have gave that up for nothing, Saturday morning cartoons and everything. And but anyhow, so of all the pieces so far you've gotten, which one out of the box like gave you the most wow factor that in your opinion?
It's got to be a toss up between that XM Deathstroke Samurai or the Batman Samurai. The Batman Samurai, because the thing I love about the Batman Samurai, talk about spending some money. They was like,
we talking about the one with the horse. You talking about the original?
The first one, the original.
Okay.
When he's standing on top of the roof.
Right. Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that one. The thing I love about that one is it's really like 4 statues in one. It could be like a regular Batman with a tactical suit, or it could be Samurai, or it could be Batman and Beyond.
Right.
And then it's got a Bruce Wayne switch out. So I think that one blew my mind because just the way that XM, like we always say, the first time you get an XM piece, and that was my first XM piece. You pull that Velcro strap.
Yep.
And that makes that sound like it's like, oh, this is something different. So I gotta say, those are probably the 2 that really blow my mind. That it's like, man, this is something. This is something different.
And it's something to be said, and that's one thing XM I think is spoiled everywhere. It's their packaging is second to none, and that's one thing I think Sideshow lacking on. I mean, I haven't gotten the last Sideshow piece I got was the Royal Guards. They were packed pretty well, but still, XM they just kill it with those straps and everything. And now I think Prime One they got straps too. I think I'm not sure, but I think I remember seeing Rodney open one, and Prime One had straps. Now, are you into collecting lines, or you just certain characters that you're looking for, or
certain characters and lines? I don't need to collect the whole line. Like for instance, like the X-Men that Sideshow has put out. I've got a few. I've got I got the Storm. I got the Rogue, but I didn't need to I didn't feel the need to get them all. I've got the older Psylocke that I mentioned from before. I think she still fits in good with them. And then I got the Dark Phoenix that Sideshow did a couple of years back with the one with the red, where she's flying in the air.
Yeah.
And so I don't really need to complete the whole line. I just get what I like. But I had gotten so many of the different X-Men that I was able to put together a team. But yeah.
Now here's a good one. Is there any piece that maybe you missed out on previously that's now like with this OG Hulk, it's like now $3,000 or something that is shot up in price, or something that you missed out on that you regretted not get, or like maybe the Thanos on throne and now he's worth a lot of money and maybe you just said, nah, I don't need it, then heck, I should have got it. Have you ever had statue of regret?
Yeah, actually it's 2. I don't know if you're familiar with this one. You familiar with heavy metal?
Yes, I am.
Are you familiar with that Tarna that Sideshow had a few years back?
I think so.
Tarna.
The girl on
that
the bird?
One was, yeah, her.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Sideshow had one of those a couple of years back. It's probably been 5 years now. And it was only $525. That's before Sideshow's prices start going through the roof.
Right.
Well, their prices ain't as high as XM, but still, it ain't the 300 statue that we used to remember.
Right.
But I was running through. I had a financial difficulty, so I had like at the time I think I had like 10 pre-orders. So I said, okay, I'm gonna have to trim the fat somewhere. Somebody's gonna have to hit the chopping block. So I wound up canceling like 5 different pieces, and she was one of them. And I hate it because now I see it on eBay. Now get it. I said it was $525. I've seen it on eBay for going for like 2,000.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
It, like people like new in the box, and I'm like, I'm not paying that.
No.
So I really regret. I keep my eye out. I said maybe eventually, maybe the heat will die off, and one day maybe the price will come down to more human levels. And then also the Rogue from Sideshow, with the last Rogue that they made, I passed up on that because at the time when the premium formats was still like at like 500, $599 like that. And when the Rogue came out, it was $705. I'm like, well, are they crazy? I'm not spending that much for that. Because I'm used to paying like the $500. Now they done jumped up to $700, and I'm like, I let it pass, and then I hate that I did because now you know what that was going for.
Yeah. But
I was able to get the collector's edition, the Sideshow, because they got like 2,000 of them.
Right.
So they had like I think it was a 25% off. So I wound up getting it for like $570, something like that.
Oh,
so I don't have the exclusive head which everybody wants. But I do have that piece, and I do love it. So those are 2 that I kick myself. That I it's kind of like, I could have got the Rogue at the time, but I was being cheap.
Right.
And but with, like I said, with Tarna, it was just my financial. We've all been there.
Yeah, you can't.
You got to trim the fat. You can't have everything. So
no, you sure can't. Especially in this
I'm keeping my eyes open.
I feel you. No, it'll come up. I say,
also,
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying also, if Ghost Rider on Horse ever comes down at a reasonable price, I'll get that. But I don't think that's coming down on the price anytime soon.
Now, being in California, does it worry you about earthquakes at all, or have you had any earthquake problems, or?
Not really. I don't really worry about it too much. I guess it's like anything else. When you live in a place for so long, you kind of get used to it because it's not like we have earthquakes all the time. But and I should look into getting insurance just for that reason alone. Right. But I really don't worry about it. And we haven't had any big earthquakes in a while.
Well, that's okay. So, but that's good. I mean, because I know we had a couple here, but we don't get that many. But I'm glad you brought up the prices. Do you feel as if, like, because I see a lot of people selling their stuff, and because they're getting priced out, and you got quarter scale statues going up to $1,200, and when you first started it was $500, $600, then it got to like $700. You're like, okay, Sideshow. Now you talking about stuff getting up to like $1,200 for a quarter scale. Do you think that eventually you might be priced out, and the shipping's getting real high now too, and everything, even though you live closer to the Sideshow than we do, so maybe the shipping's not as much for you than it is for like people across the country. Like, do you think is that becoming a problem, or you don't think so?
Well, yeah, shipping has gone up because like the average price I was paying for these quarter scales was like $29, $30 pre-COVID. Now I'm paying like $60. So the price has gone up even for me. I only live 50 miles away from Sideshow.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's not even that far. And yeah, even me, it's gone up for me. So I can imagine the same quarter scale that I get, it'll probably cost me $60, but then for you, it's probably go up to like $80.
Oh yeah, or higher.
Because you're in Maryland, right?
I'm in Maryland, yeah.
Yeah, so it really sucks that it's gone that way, and I think it's like a lot of us think that maybe it's just like the gas prices, where the gas companies have raised the price up, and now they're trying to keep them up.
Exactly, that's exactly what I've been saying.
And I think that's sorry, Sideshow, if you're listening. I think your guys are are raising the prices on this stuff because you can.
Yep.
I don't see why. And I think from what I understand, the shipping containers aren't as expensive now as it was in COVID. Things are starting to move around. So I don't understand why, if I'm 50 miles away, that the same weight statue that I bought pre-COVID that cost me $29 and I'm paying $60 now. Why?
Right.
Why? But for me, so far I only got was it 3? I got 4 statues, 3 on pre-order, and I got the one I'm waiting for to ship that I mentioned before for Queen Studios. But after that, no, I take that back. Golden Week came around on Prime 1, and one of those the Gantz. You familiar with that anime, Gantz?
I'm not familiar, but I know exactly what you're talking about. The pieces that you're talking about.
Yeah, they had the 2 girls.
The 2 girls.
I
Yeah.
bought one from Sideshow, but they didn't get the second one. So I was hoping that Sideshow would get it, but I guess that's around the time when they was beefing.
Right.
So some of their stuff didn't matriculate over to Sideshow. So I said, okay, I got to get this eventually one day. And then the Golden Week at Prime 1, they had a sale. It was like 25% off. And I'm like, oh, no, I can't let this pass. So I ordered it. And this is my first purchase directly from Prime 1. I put it on a slow boat.
You got to, because that their shipping ain't no game. I've heard some people, I think I've heard Six say a few times that some of the Prime 1 stuff, shipping wise, ain't no game, But do you feel as if COVID changed the game a lot? Do you notice difference now, but post COVID than it was pre-COVID as far as collecting goes? Like edition size, prices, stuff like that? Or not all, because now you don't get a lot of exclusives now either. They've trimmed down. Do you feel as if it's changed or no?
I don't necessarily know if it's COVID, but definitely the prices have changed, and I don't know if that's inflation, because I don't know if the companies like Sideshow is being charged more because maybe they're being squeezed to get something made. Maybe it's costing them more, so they're putting the price off on us. It's just like, for instance, another analogy, like fast food. You look at McDonald's, like a Big Mac meal used to be like $5.
It's high, man.
It's like about $12 for that.
real.
Because I know the reason that happened was people here. I don't know if it's the same in Maryland, but I know here in California, they start wanting to get paid more to employees, so they raised the minimum wage from whatever it was to $15 an hour now. So I guess McDonald's say, okay, yeah, we'll give you $15 an hour, but guess what? You're gonna pay more for that Big Mac meal, and the price has gone up. So I don't know if. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I know that dollar menu done shrunk big time. You know what I'm saying? That's all I was gonna say. But are you a big time? Does edition size? Because I know I hear all these people hollering, "Oh, this edition size is too high," and all of it. Are you into the edition size, or you just get the piece that you like?
Doesn't bother me at all.
Thank you, Lord.
I see it. I love it. I want it. I don't. I understand. I do understand their mentality.
Yeah.
As far as letting it control the way I buy, nah. I see a piece. It's like they say, "Oh, that thing is 75,000 pieces. I'm not gonna buy that. That's not a collectible." I don't care. It's beautiful. I want it.
That's it. Now, do you, if you could narrow down to one, do you have a favorite piece, or and that's a hard question, because I always say, to me, that they're like your kids. You know what I mean? It's like hard to say,
who's my favorite
who's
kid?
my favorite kid, but and it took me a while. I finally think I think the Emperor Cube is definitely my favorite, one, because I've been wanting that for so long, because they had one Emperor statue, and finally, some of the custom boys came out with one, so but who is your, if you could narrow down, you can even narrow down to a couple, actually.
Yeah, this brings me back to that question that we always used to see. You guys just say, okay, if the house is on fire, who are you grabbing to run out of the house with?
Right.
Who am I grabbing to run out of the house with? Oh man, it is so hard. I guess just because of the detailing, and it's not necessarily the price, but I would definitely got to say that Batman Samurai
Okay.
holds a strong place in my heart. I really love what they did with that piece.
Now I saw you had
But
that that no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish up. What were you just gonna say?
oh no, that's it.
Okay, I
I'm
saw
good.
you had in some of the pictures. I was looking at. You got that Iron Studios Batman when you're standing on the spotlight,
Yeah,
and I've seen
yeah.
that in person because folks has you got the one with the spray paint, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what
With
that's a real nice piece. That's under. I mean, I know that goes for big money now too, and that's a sick piece.
yeah, yeah, and that's that piece that because it was like I think nine something. That's when I jumped that price hurdle where I
Mm,
realized the price is the price, and if you want it, you have to pay it.
sure do. Yeah,
And so that was the piece. That was one of the pieces where I started kind of bringing my price rate up a little bit.
yeah. And
Yeah, I love that piece.
now,
That's a big boy too. That was
it
my
is.
first
I've seen that one.
1/3.
I've seen that one. Do you dabble in customs at all, or no?
I I have not, and
Mm,
I would because I really don't understand how it works. As far as the groups, I've been invited. I think I'm in a couple of the groups,
mm,
but I still don't know how it works as far as the payments and who to trust and who not to trust. Because I've heard a lot of stuff, and you know more about it than I do as far as
right,
the negativity that goes along with it. But then
right.
I see some nice stuff, like for instance, that Psylocke, the one that
Franco,
Barb has.
dude.
Is that Franco, the one when she's sideways?
Oh, I'm not. It might
She's
be.
kind of sideways.
I know
I'm
he
not
made a
sure who
couple
makes
of them.
that one,
I'm not
but
sure either.
that's a piece I would like to get. But I think they've already sold out because I know where they only make a certain amount of them, and when they're
Yeah,
gone, they're gone.
very low edition size usually with customs. I've seen the first Franco one where she's cut the Sentinel head in half. She's just like kind of walking forward. I've seen that. That's a huge piece. And I've seen the other one he did with when Rogue is like she's inside the set and she's like
Oh,
lifting it up.
and
Yeah,
holding it up.
that
That's
thing
nice.
is gigantic, man.
I bet it is.
The doctor, we take our broken statue. He has that, man. I'm telling you, this thing was. I was like, good God, man, And he had the That's where I saw Magneto on Throne, the XM one the first time. But it's customs now. I think pretty now you don't hit too many horror stories with customs nowadays. Me being the Star Wars, because most of this it's like 4 Star Wars groups, and they're all pretty solid. Some of the X-Men. I haven't heard one. I haven't heard. There's this one that makes X-Men stuff, and Franco used to do stuff for him, but I don't hear too much about them anymore. In fact, the ones I was talking about, they made those, and so like if you were interested, I could kind of point you the right direction, but yeah, customs they make it. To me, a lot of this stuff has been on par with like the license stuff, in my opinion. So
It looks like it from the pictures I've seen. It is some nice stuff out there. Different Wolverines, like
oh yeah,
that I've seen out there. The one that Tim has, where he's on the snow base of Weapon X,
there you go.
where he's got all the Weapon
Yeah.
X stuff on, and
Oh, yeah.
that's a bad piece. And I've definitely seen. I'm like, that looks interesting, but I don't know.
I
I don't
know
know. So
people throw
I
some
would
of
never say never, because the moment you say never, that's when you're gonna do it.
exactly. I mean, I'd say keep looking in the buy sell trade groups at all on Facebook or not?
I've looked around, but I haven't dabbled into it
You can
because I haven't seen
find
anything.
some gems in there. I'm just telling you. Especially nowadays with people unloading stuff because they're making more room.
They really are.
You find some good stuff in there. And now I know for a fact that you got one I seen that Darth Maul you got, so that's my neighborhood.
Yeah. And the strange thing about that, and then we can get into that if you want to, the whole Star Wars and all that, my love of Star Wars. As Shane, he always, I said, I see myself more of as a Jedi. He called me Jedi scum. But it's funny, even though I see myself I always think about remember the Cowboys and Indians, Cowboys, the black hat was the bad guy, the white hat was the good guy.
Yeah.
I always see myself as the good guy. So my favorite character has always been Luke Skywalker because, again, I was a kid when those movies came out. Right. So I've always been on the hero's journey. And I've always saw black and white as far as good and evil. Right. So, but the weird thing is, the only Star Wars statue I have is Darth Maul. I don't have it. I don't have Luke Skywalker. So I don't know. What does that tell you about my psyche? It's just a stunning piece.
It could be, there's a lot of artistic traits about Darth Maul. The paint and everything, and I could see, of the Skywalker statues I've seen. To me, the XM one is the best licensed one, but Darth Maul makes a great statue. So like that could be what you were drawn to, as far as, his look and everything. And as a lot of people say, a lot of the Star Wars stuff, like the character designs are amazing. Like if you just think about because they do millions of illustrations and concept art to get ready for this stuff. And but do you see yourself going out there and getting a Luke or no?
Probably if I see one that catches my eye. But matter of fact, as you were just talking, I just realized what it was. The reason why I have him and not the other ones goes back to my martial art background, and I'm familiar. I knew about Ray Park before Ray Park did the Star Wars. The stuntman that did Darth Maul. He's done stuff for Batman. Of course, we know he was Toad, and the first X-Men movie.
He's the Headless Horseman too.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. So as a martial artist, I really like the way he moves, and he's badass.
He is.
So and he was the best. He was the best part of the prequels, the Phantom Menace.
Definitely.
I mean, when I saw the commercial when they was pumping the movie up, I'm like, what is this? And then of course I saw the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this dude. Matter of fact, I bought when they had all the merchandise for that, I bought a bunch of the little figures.
Right.
I got a bunch of Darth Maul. I bought at the time. I was saying, let me see if I could buy a bunch of these because they might be worth some money. So I think I bought like 10 of them. And I wind up, I gave a couple away, but I think I still got 3 that's still in the box.
Right.
And I got one of those plastic storage box in my garage, but I still got them. At one time, I had them all up on the walls in my apartment when I was living in Long Beach, and because they had like what do they call that? The thing that goes along the side at the top. I'm spacing on the name of it.
Yeah, I am too.
Crown molding or something like that.
Okay.
At the top, and it was just enough on the crown molding for me to put my little action figure on top.
Right.
So I had them all the way around because I got like I said, I had a bunch of Darth Mauls, but then I bought the other characters too, little Anakin and your favorite guy, Obi-Wan. So yeah, I bought and his mask. He said, "Don't ever say that name." For you, that should be like, what is that, Harry Potter? He that shall not be named.
Yeah, he shall not be named. So what's your favorite Star Wars movie? Like out of all.
Oh, I would definitely say Empire.
There you go. Everybody.
Because well, for me, the reason I like Empire, I like the New Hope too. But the thing I like about Empire, I love lightsaber battles. And the lightsaber battle in New Hope, I mean, it was all right, but it was just Obi-Wan and Vader. It wasn't as dynamic. No. But the one with him, with Vader and Luke, and I mean, just not only that, but the whole from the beginning to end that movie, it didn't miss a beat.
No.
Through Han Solo, they running and gunning, they hiding. They met Billy D.
Billy D.
Billy D betrayed him.
My
I know
mom
you see about Billy D.
She loved Billy D.
And Lando Calrissian, and just that whole movie, and then the whole cliffhanger when they done froze Han Solo and shipped him off. Boba Fett took him. So come on, we're going to go see Jabba.
Yeah.
So, but then I do love New Hope, and I do remember that Han shot first because my brother had it on video. I didn't see it at the theater because it came out in 1977. I was in the 7th grade, but then it came shortly after it came on TV, and then my brother bought the original one on Betamax. So we had the original one up until the Betamax recorder burnt out. We had that movie, and I remember seeing Han shoot first. And even though Lucas tried to change it and make it look like Guido shot first, because they didn't want to make Han look like a villain. We know the truth, Lucas. We know the truth.
I mean, to me, it shouldn't be an issue because he did whatever he had to do. You know what I mean? If he had to offer him to live, he had to shoot first to live. You know what I mean? We know how Han was. Ain't nobody worried about you, Lucas. I remember watching. Well, I saw New Hope for first time in summer camp because I saw Empire. I saw Empire first, and it blew my mind when I said, "Why is this dude giving my boy orders?" You know what I mean? We're talking about talking and everything. I said,
okay, yeah.
You know, I was actually kind of glad when they blew him. I said, yeah, don't be giving my boy, you know. But anyway.
He wasn't no joke though.
I remember watching that. A friend of mine had those. You remember those big giant laser discs where you like halfway through the movie you had to flip them over and then what?
Yeah.
I remember watching it on that. And they had a RCA laser disc, and I saw it on that before I saw it on VHS. You know what I mean? And now is that's your favorite saber battle? Is Luke versus
But then the last one I like the Phantom Menace saber battle. I didn't like how Darth Maul got cut in half.
No, nobody did.
But then in the Return of the Jedi, that was a good battle with Vader and Luke.
Right. Well,
that was a good. That was, even though your man winded up on his back. Sorry.
No, bro. I'm telling you, no, that's a true story. I cried, and I mean, I had to be consoled. Like I was sitting on a curve after this was over, and like literally 20 minutes, my mother sitting there like it's okay, and I remember keep saying he's dead. She's like it's gonna be all right. I swear, I was messed up, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you that young. And that's your dude, you know. It's like you how do you handle that? You know, because you read comic books or watch cartoons, don't nobody die, you know.
Yeah.
You go to the movie, it's like Jesus Christ, you know.
But it's funny.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
It's funny you mentioned that because and being in this community, we see a lot of videos because there's like a different show on every day.
Right.
You can watch a different show on YouTube every day. Actually, it gets kind of after a while. I get YouTube fatigue, and but there's one other statue collector that had an opposite story as you had. Like you had the story where you saw Vader force choking people and not killing people, and just what Vader was doing, and you just asked my man. But then another collector I know. He saw Han Solo get frozen and get carted off by Boba Fett. He was like, "No, they did that to my guy," because he likes the suave debonair like that scoundrel that Solo had. He liked him, and it's like, oh, so his favorite character, the guy frozen, your favorite character in your mind was like, yes,
yeah, exactly.
So it's funny how all of our perspective, how
exactly
one person could see something and they could love one thing, the other person could love another,
and that's okay.
And that is okay because the good thing about this hobby is we're all grown geek men. We can have these grown geek questions and debates and not get up in our feelings. And as far as that last lightsaber battle with Luke and Vader, I like the drama that went along with it when he was taunting Luke. And he was trying to get him to rage out. And then he was searching his feelings and he felt like his sister. And he says, "Oh, your sister." So you have a sister. So if you won't turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. And then Luke went, no!
Mhm.
And I mean, just the drama that went along with that battle. Just talking about it, getting hyped up. I want to go watch all three of them back to back.
But you forgot. No, go ahead.
If I have time, well, I probably won't have time because Mother's Day is tomorrow, and I'm not going to have time tonight.
Yeah.
But I'll do that. I'll have a movie-a-thon. So maybe I'll
I know
start
that's
like
right.
New Hope. If I could put a 3-hour period, watch all three the original movies back to back.
Well, look, if we didn't quickly ran out of time, I still can't believe an hour done gone by. But you forgot my favorite line out of that whole scene. He said,
"Go."
He was wise to hide her from me. Now his
Yes.
failure is complete. I was like,
yes.
You know, but
James Earl Jones.
No other.
We didn't even we barely scratched the topic on what we could talk about.
I know, man. But hey, that's what it's more about finding out about you than it is about collecting. You know what I mean? But I mean, of course we throw opinions on collecting in there. But do you got any final thoughts before we sign off, or you know?
Not really. I just want to say I thank you for everything you've done to the community since you started. I mean, I remember when you invited me early on to come into DCX, and that was pretty. It was like, oh, I get to go hang out with the cool kids. I mean, at first when you had thrown out, you said you threw it out on YouTube while you guys were like doing the show. You said, yeah, but sometimes we got to get some of these guys in because you see the same people in the chat all the time talking every week. So you know you become familiar with it, your sense of humor, your jokes. And so I guess I was saying something that caught your attention. So you said, one day I got to invite Critical Mass. You got to come on the show, bro. Got to come on the show. And you said that the poor boy too. But he did. I guess he didn't take me up on it. And so then I said, yeah. Why don't I go on? So then you guys did that thing where you just threw the link out, and anybody could jump on that wanted to jump on.
Oh yeah.
And I jumped on, and we had I remember you had the telephone. The first time it was with the phone number, and I called in and we talked. And I got to talk with everybody back and forth and talk to Tim, and because I think that Tim was the first one I befriended on Facebook.
Okay.
And then after that, it was Rodney, it was you, and then Barb, and then so then we became friends on Facebook. But again, like you said early on, I would have just been. Because I was collecting even before I knew about you guys, and just randomly, I was going on YouTube, and you guys' feed kept coming up, and I'm like, "What is this?" So then I watched one of the older videos, and then I saw, oh, they got live stuff. So then I subscribed, and I got the notifications. So I would tune in every Friday night at 6 on my time at 6 p.m. So I come home, do whatever I had to do, take a shower, water my bonsai trees, get my dinner. By that time it's 6 o'clock, and I'd be kicking back. I got my tasty beverage, and I'm just sitting back laughing at you guys and commenting on stuff that's pertinent. And it was a good thing. But I thank you for inviting me on the times that you had, and you invited me on a couple of other times, and it was fun. Like I told you the last time I was on, it feels like a homecoming. Whenever I come and hang out with you guys, I feel like I'm hanging out with my people. This is familiar. I like this.
I cannot do anything to top that, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, well, thank you for coming on Critical Mass, and we're a little bit over, but it's all good. We catch y'all next time. Just asking for a friend. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.